Well, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Army General Martin Dempsey, is in Israel today. And no doubt, the #1 issue on the agenda was Iran. There are a few reports out now that show Iran has actually abandoned any and all plans to develop nuclear weapons. But there are also several reports that suggest, at least, that that's not the case. The question is, how does the rest of the world react to what they think is going on? To help me shed some light on all of this, earlier I spoke to research director of the National Iranian-American Council, Reza Marashi. I asked Reza whether he thought Iran is, in fact, in the process of building a nuclear weapon. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I think it's important to consider what the consensus view or the consensus thoughts of the U.S. government is. And in 2007 and again in 2011, the National Intelligence Estimate of the United States of America, which is a consensus document representing 27 intelligence agencies, said that from 2003 onward, they have a high level of confidence that the Iranian government had abandoned its intent and its process towards developing a nuclear weapons capability.
Then why is it that we're constantly hearing this talk of, they're actually not? And even if they let the inspectors in to the places that we know about, how do we know there's not other places? Then we hear the crazy rhetoric on the campaign trail from a lot of these Republican candidates. Bomb Iran, they want to bomb us first. Why, if what you say is true, that this has been the consensus for years, is there this other side of this argument that's very prevalent?
I think that's a great question. The United States and its allies have differing views on this issue, particularly when we juxtapose the Israeli view to the American view. Really, for the better part of 2 decades, the Israeli government has said that Iran is 1 to 2 years away from developing a nuclear weapons capability, and I think the jury's in on this one at this point. So I'm more inclined to follow what the American government's viewpoint is, because the American viewpoint has proven to be correct over a sustained period of time, and that being the case, because Iran hasn't made that decision, it actually leaves a fair amount of time to pursue a peaceful diplomatic solution to this problem.
I think it's important that you bring Israel up, because certainly all eyes are on Israel when we talk about the issue of Iran and any sort of future violence there. But Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak recently said, a decision about attacking Iran, even a decision, is a long way off. Also this week, Israel and the United States decided that they would suspend or even stop those military exercises that they had planned. So what do you think? I mean, is this a sign that Israel now, too, is backing off a little bit, is less concerned than we previously thought?
I don't think so. I mean, the Israeli government has been pretty consistent on its view regarding Iran's nuclear program for decades now at this point. I think what we're seeing is the most senior level U.S. military official currently in Tel Aviv visiting his Israeli counterparts, and the Israeli government likes to portray or make an appearance of, close-knit relations and no problems between the two governments, particularly when somebody of that stature from the American government is in their country. The truth of the matter is there are serious and deep divisions over the Iran issue between the Israeli government and the Iranian government, and that's why General Dempsey is there right now, to try to figure out what those differences are and how to bridge the gap.
There's a lot of talk also right now, I think it's fair to say from both sides of the aisle, politically speaking, that President Obama should not negotiate, meet with, talk with Ahmadinejad or anyone else, at the high levels of the Iranian government. However, there's talk, I'm sure you've heard of this letter that the Obama administration apparently sent to Iran, to Ayatollah Khamenei, that says, first of all, that closing down the Strait of Hormuz is a, quote, red line, that it shouldn't happen, but also that, offer to talk. So, the administration, I should say, has denied ever sending this letter.
Sure.
But even if it did, what do you think this means? Does it change anything?
I think it means 2 very important things. One, that our president is living up to his commitments when he says that he is willing to sit down and have substantial discussions with the Iranian government on issues of high concern, both to the United States, Iran, and America's allies. So that's one. But 2, and more importantly, I think it means that the president is attempting to push back and cut through a lot of the rhetoric, because it's silly season in Washington right now. And the president's political
I think it's always silly season in Washington, Reza.
I'm not exactly disinclined to agree, but particularly now, because it's an election season, people are hunkering down on their political positions and trying to box the president in. And I think he's doing a good job of demonstrating, A, that his national security credentials are actually top-notch, and B, that his Iran strategy has been working. Now, on that latter point, I have differences of opinion, but that's what he's trying to do right now. And I think him pursuing a willingness on the part of the American government to sit down with the Iranian government in concert with America's allies at the negotiating table speaks volumes about the president's willingness to take risks for peace.
I mean, that's certainly your perspective, and I think that it's very easy to see that from that point of view. The president is willing to negotiate with anyone who's willing to come to the table and at least talk. Why not? What can that hurt? However, as you already said, and as everybody knows, we are in an election year, and this could be spun negatively to the president. I mean, I want to get your take in terms of all these GOP candidates and the large and loud and roaring applause that they get at some of these debates when they talk about Iran being a threat, when Ron Paul is the only candidate that's talking about, you know, backing off a little bit from Iran. Why is this view so popular then?
I don't think that the view is necessarily popular, because when you look at opinion polling that's taking place not only amongst the American population, but even within the Republican Party itself, in the 60th percentile, they're opposed to war with Iran. I think there's always going to be a minority view that supports a militarized foreign policy in the United States.
That was Research Director for the National Iranian American Council, Reza Marashi.